Hi everyone, this is Alex Sangha, and welcome to my official YouTube channel. Today is a very special day because this is my first video for my YouTube channel. Many people in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada have heard of me, but many other people around the world have not. And so I'm going to give you a little introduction. I am a social worker by profession. I'm a counselor. I have my own private counseling practice in Metro Vancouver. I'm a documentary film producer. I'm working on my third documentary. My first documentary was about a transgender woman who was murdered. She was a sex trade worker. She was my dear friend. My second film was about coming out stories in the Punjabi Sikh community in Metro Vancouver and the reactions of their parents. It did very well around the world. And my next film is about immigrants from India to Metro Vancouver called I Migrant. So that's a little bit about me, but today I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about in my YouTube channel and how I'm going to structure my videos. I'm a social worker, so I'm very passionate about social issues and the challenges we face as a society and how to solve those problems. So I'm going to be introducing a social issue, talking about some solutions, and then also talking about what does this mean spiritually and how can we make sense of why this is happening to us. So for me, I'm very passionate to talk about people in our society that are living with poverty. And today we're going to talk about poverty. Why in such a rich country like Canada are so many people homeless, so many people hungry, so many people suffering when we have so much wealth in our country? It is my basic belief, if we just support each other and we allow everyone to reach their potential and capacity, then we could all flourish and we could all uplift each other together. You know, my motto in my signature line in my email when I send out messages is, if everyone just mentors one person in this world, then we will all be empowered everywhere around the world globally. Can you imagine? So today I'm going to talk about some social programs. I can't touch on all social programs, so I'm going to focus on the one most commonly associated with poverty, and that is income assistance or welfare. People think, well, why do you need welfare? I mean, it's their fault. They should pull themselves up from the bootstraps and get a job and work. You know, it's not really easy. I'm going to give you some examples. I want you to really think about these examples and ask yourself, can you find yourself in this situation? Everyone is one paycheck or two paychecks away from being unable to pay their mortgage or their rent. And a lot of people, they may have everything in the world one day, but it could be taken away from you the next day. Anyone can get in an accident or be disabled or be unable to work. So, I mean, think about these examples. Like, why do people need welfare and why do they find themselves in a situation of poverty? For example, job loss or inability to find employment. This can happen to any of us. Low income or wages that do not meet basic needs. This is a major problem right now. Inequality is increasing in our society. It's difficult to get a job that pays pension and benefits and a decent salary. The poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. The amount of income inequality, it's hard to get a good, decent, unionized job nowadays. So disability or health problems, like I mentioned, anyone can be disabled at any time. You don't know what's going to happen. And how are people going to pay for healthcare and their medicines and their prescriptions if they don't have access to a lot of money or quality benefits? Single parenthood or being the sole breadwinner for a large family. A lot of single parents with children are suffering and living in poverty. Is it fair for those children to grow up and be affected by impoverishment and being neglected and being poor? How are they going to have equal access to opportunities in their life and have positive outcomes in their life and contribute to society when they have been marginalized and growing up in poverty? So it puts these children at a disadvantage. Lack of affordable housing. Of course, lack of affordable housing is a major problem in Metro Vancouver. In order to get your life started, you need a good place to start, and that includes having a decent place to live. Lack of education or training to secure better paying jobs. Discrimination in hiring or promotion based on race, gender, or age. Domestic abuse or other traumatic experiences that make it difficult to work. Addiction or mental health issues that prevent steady employment. I am convinced that a lot of people who are addicted to drugs, they have experienced trauma or they're dealing with very difficult issues in their life and they turn to drugs in order to cope with their stressors, their life stressors. And economic downturns or recessions that lead to layoffs and job loss. If you look at these issues, job loss, disability, single parenthood, lack of affordable housing, is it really the fault of these people to be in this situation? This could happen to any of us. This is why we need social programs, and this is why we need to support people at all levels in our society. We need it for social mobility mobility. If you have social programs, then you have social mobility because you're not going to be stuck in a job you don't like. You have the opportunity to have a little bit of income while you're searching for the job that is your fit, where you can contribute the most, be the most productive. So now let's move to some solutions. How can we resolve this? The solution's going to take a massive effort by our governments to support people in poverty. Right? They have to recognize it and make it a priority. And as we have free trade agreements around the world and jobs moving overseas and wages being stagnant and benefits and everything, disappearing, governments are going to have to move in and provide a minimum basic income for people. So, for example, here's 10 things you can do to reduce poverty. Increase funding for job training and education programs. Raise the minimum wage to a livable wage. Provide affordable healthcare to those in need, including dental, prescription, and vision. Increase access to affordable housing and rental assistance. This is so essential now for people suffering with unbelievably high rents. Address systemic racism and discrimination in the workplace. Already, we all know that women and people of color, people with disabilities, are less likely to move into management or less likely to be in these positions of power. Expand access to mental health and addiction treatment services. Provide paid family leave and flexible work arrangements. Implement policies to prevent domestic abuse and support survivors. Invest in job creation and infrastructure projects. And one thing that I really believe in is to create a basic income. Could you imagine if everyone was provided with a basic income so that their basic needs and necessities are paid for? Then people wouldn't have to take menial jobs that they don't want to do. We could move into the jobs that we are creative at, that we are productive at, that we excel at. We can enjoy our life and we can basically be a lot happier. This is what I fundamentally believe. And some might argue, so why are we in a society where there is poverty? Well, I think it comes down to the idea of capitalism and competition, where people have to compete with each other to climb the corporate ladder. People care about themselves and they're forgetting the other people who are left behind. I think as a society, we are only as strong as the society as a whole. We need to take care of each other. I understand the need for personal responsibility and self-sufficiency and dependency. However, this is coming from people from a point of privilege. It's easy to look at other people who are suffering and say, you need to work harder. A lot of these people are working very hard. I think someone who is a very spiritual person, taking care of the needy, just like most people in most of the world's faiths did, like Jesus and everyone, they believed in taking care of the needy and the marginalized and the vulnerable. All of these people believed in values of compassion and justice and generosity. In Sikhism, they call it seva, or selfless service, to help the needy. It's our job, it's our duty, and it's our responsibility to help those that are less fortunate than us. What better way to give back to the world than to help those who are suffering in your own communities? So that is my first YouTube video. I hope you liked it. Like, share, please send us some comments, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.